Youcat, question number 445. What is meant by the principle labor before capital? The church has always taught the principle of the priority of labor over capital. Man owns money or capital as a thing. Labor, in contrast, is inseparable from the person who performs it. That is why the basic needs of laborers have priority over the interests of capital. The owners of capital and investors have a legitimate interest too, which must be protected. It is a serious injustice, however, when entrepreneurs and investors try to increase their own profits at the expense of the basic rights of their laborers and employees. Pope John Paul II says, everything contained in the concept of capital in the strict sense is only a collection of things. Man as the subject of work and independently of the work that he does, man alone is a person. Question number 446. What does the church say about globalization? Globalization is in itself neither good nor bad. It is rather the description of a reality that must be shaped. Originating within economically developed countries, this process by its nature has spread to include all economies. It has been the principal driving force behind the emergence from underdevelopment of whole regions, and in itself it represents a great opportunity. Nevertheless, without the guidance of charity in truth, this global force could cause unprecedented damage and create new divisions within the human family, says Pope Benedict XVI. When we buy inexpensive jeans, we should not be indifferent to the conditions in which they are manufactured, to the question of whether or not the workers received a just wage. Everyone's fortune matters. No one's poverty should leave us indifferent. On the political level, there is a need for a true world political authority, says Pope Benedict XVI, to help reach a compromise between the people in the rich nations and those in underdeveloped countries. Far too often, the latter are still excluded from the advantages of economic globalization and have only burdens to bear. Pope John Paul II says, it is disturbing to witness a globalization that exacerbates the conditions of the needy, that does not sufficiently contribute to resolving situations of hunger, poverty, and social inequality, that fails to safeguard the natural environment. These aspects of globalization can give rise to extreme reactions, leading to excessive nationalism, religious fanaticism, and even acts of terrorism. Question number 447. Is globalization exclusively a matter of politics and economics? There used to be the idea of a division of labor. Economics should be concerned about increasing wealth, and politics should be concerned about distributing it justly. In the age of globalization, however, profits are obtained globally, while politics, to a great extent, is still limited within national boundaries. Therefore, what is needed today is not just the strengthening of transnational political situations, but also the initiatives of individuals and social groups that are active economically in the poorer regions of the world, not primarily for the sake of profit, but rather out of a spirit of solidarity and love. The market and the state are necessary, but also is a strong civil society. In a market, products and services are exchanged for goods having the same value. In many regions of this world, however, the people are so poor that they cannot offer anything in exchange and therefore continue to be left behind. So there is a need for economic initiatives that are defined not by the logic of exchange, but rather by the logic of the unconditional gift, says Pope Benedict XVI. This means not merely giving alms to the poor, but rather helping them to help themselves by opening up paths to economic freedom. There are Christian initiatives, for instance, the economy of communion project of the Focolare movement, which today involves more than 750 businesses worldwide. There are also non-Christian social entrepreneurs who, though profit-oriented, nevertheless work in the spirit of a culture of giving, but with the goal of alleviating poverty and marginalization. Question number 448. Are poverty and underdevelopment an inescapable fate? God has entrusted to us a rich earth that could offer all people sufficient food and living space. Yet there are whole regions, countries, and continents in which many people have scarcely the bare necessities for living. There are complex historical causes for this division in the world, but it is not irreformable. The rich countries have the moral obligation to help the underdeveloped nations out of poverty through development aid and the establishment of just economic and commercial conditions. There are more than 1 billion people living on this earth who must make do with less than $1 per day. They suffer from a lack of food and clean drinking water. Most of them have no access to education or medical care. It is estimated that more than 25,000 people die every day from malnutrition. Many of them are children. Question number 449. What significance do the poor have for Christians? Love for the poor must be in every age the distinguishing mark of Christians. The poor deserve not just a few alms, they have a claim to justice. For Christians, there is a special obligation to share their goods. Our example in love for the poor is Christ. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. That is the first sentence in Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. There is material, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual poverty. Christians must look after the need of this earth with great consideration, love, and perseverance. On no other point will they be evaluated by Christ so decisively as on their way of treating the poor. As you did it to one of these least of these my brethren, you did it to me. Question number 450. What are the corporal works of mercy? To feed the hungry, give drink to the thirsty, clothe the naked, shelter the homeless, visit the sick and the imprisoned, and bury the dead. Question number 451. What are the spiritual works of mercy? The spiritual works of mercy are to instruct the ignorant, to counsel the doubtful, comfort the sorrowful, admonish the sinner, bear wrongs patiently, forgive all injuries, and pray for the living and the dead. God bless you all.